There's a difference between being kind and nice. If you are focused on being nice, you're probably never going to say anything that could potentially hurt someone. You are going to prioritize someone else's feelings over your own. That is not being kind to yourself. And that is also not being kind to the relationship because there is transparency lacking. You are prioritizing the appearance of a good relationship. Being kind is being transparent, but choosing your words and your delivery wisely, caring about their feelings, about how you deliver it. So even if you have bad news, you're going to deliver it with grace and as much thoughtfulness as possible. So you're not avoiding it, but you're being very careful about how you deliver the message to reduce the damage caused. Not eliminate, reduce, okay? Because you cannot control how they react, but you are going to try and do it with dignity and not make them lose face over this.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. I can't believe it, but we are so close to moving to our future home over in Georgia on the East Coast. I thought I was going to be a West Coast Cali girl for the rest of my life, for all of my life, but plans change. And also, I can't believe we're buying a house without ever seeing it. That's different. I don't know if we're crazy or if things have just gotten better because of the internet. I don't know, but shout out to our agent for walking us through this entire process and making us feel at ease, because both my husband and I are fairly rational people. And so the fact that we're buying a house without ever stepping foot in it is a little nuts. I'm sure my parents think we're nuts, but here we are. We are so excited. And thank goodness our agent has taken lots of videos and called out all the things that we could potentially not like about the house so that we can feel like we really know what's going on. And I love her approach. She wants to be so hypercritical that we walk into the house and we're like, oh, what are you talking about? That is not a big deal. It is way better than what you made it out to be like. So I am hoping that that's going to be true. We're going to find out real soon. So at the time of this recording, I think this is going to actually get released after we first see the house, but we're not going to see the house until the day after we close. Just because of the way the days are lining up in our schedules, we are not going to step foot and see the house until after we have officially purchased the house. But we are so excited. The neighborhood seems great. So we did actually visit the neighborhood before and we loved it. We love how much nature there is. So many trails for us to walk through, and we're super stoked to make new friends and meet our neighbors, and fingers crossed that the neighbors have kids so that our kids can make fast friends and we can make fast friends with their parents. That's always a little tricky sometimes, right? Like when your kids make friends and then you're like, oh, I hope I like my parents. I hope we vibe, right? Anyway, I really hope that works out for us. But with that said, today I want to talk about something that I am still actively working on, but has made a huge difference in conversations that I have with all the important people in my life. And that is thinking about the other person. As someone who experiences strong emotions, I tend to silo off my experience to what I'm experiencing, how I feel, what I need, and everything is me, right? Obviously, I don't want to be selfish, That is just what I naturally do when I feel some type of way. And so it's not so instinctual or natural to me yet, because this is something you can develop, to consider how my message is coming across, whether my message is being well received. Because before I started down this road of developing this skill and this art, because I will say it's an art, I didn't care. Or maybe it's not that I didn't care, but I wasn't aware that I needed to care about how my words came across, how my message was being received, because I come from a place where things are not talked about. Okay. So for me to talk about things was already a success in my book, in my world, in my lineage, to improve communication. So coming from a place where things aren't talked about, and then I talk about them, I dive into those harder conversations and I don't shy away from them, even though they can get really difficult. The next step, if this is also you, is to start considering what's the impact that I'm having when I communicate. Am I making the situation better, or am I making it worse? What is the experience for everyone in the conversation? If the experience is you as a speaker feel like you got to say everything you needed to say, and you have let everything off your chest, but the recipient feels like they just got stomped all over, that their feelings don't matter at all, that they were collateral damage, that is not successful. That is not a successful conversation. Yes, it's better than not saying something. However, sometimes if it's the difference between saying something and hurting someone or not saying anything at all, sometimes the latter is better. Okay. Now, I'm not going to promote not saying something. However, there are always better ways of saying things. And this has been my struggle for as long as I've ever known. And I want to say I've gotten better over time. Still got more work to do when it comes to this, but there's always a better way to say something. And I want to say that I married my husband for a reason. Obviously, more than one reason, but he's actually really good about this. He's so analytical that he really thinks about things from everyone's perspective before he opens his mouth. Whereas I like just spitfire. I am just go, 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 right? I half think it and then it's out of my mouth already. So really leaning into this skill of how are my words going to be perceived? Not only how would I feel if someone else said this to me in this way, but how is that person that I'm talking to going to perceive it? Based on who they are as a person, based on our dynamic, based on what I know about them, their personality, their sensitivities, what I think their goals are, etc., etc. When we are more mindful about how we're delivering a message, that plays into the success of the conversation. When we do this, that's when you know you are prioritizing the relationship over your pride. Okay? If you can end a conversation knowing that you have been respectful and kind, which is different than being nice, by the way. Okay? Just let's go on that little tangent for a little bit. There's a difference between being kind and nice. Okay? If you are focused on being nice, you're probably never going to say anything that could potentially hurt someone. You are going to prioritize someone else's feelings over your own. That is not being kind to yourself. And that is also not being kind to the relationship because there is transparency lacking. You are prioritizing the appearance of a good relationship, a facade. Being kind is being transparent, but choosing your words and your delivery wisely. caring about their feelings, about how you deliver it. So even if you have bad news, even if you have news that is going to be tough for them to hear, you're going to deliver it with grace and as much care and thoughtfulness as possible. So you're not skirting away from the challenge. You're not avoiding it, but you're being very, very careful about how you deliver the message to reduce the damage caused. Not eliminate, reduce, okay? Because you cannot control how they react, but from your standpoint, you are going to try and do it with dignity, and you're not going to make them lose face over this. And that's not something that I have been really great at in the past. I've been solely focused on my experience and what I feel like I need to say. And when I get pissed, I got a lot to say. And I didn't really care in the moment how the other person felt because, ooh, I'm angry and I'm going to let you know it because you fucked up. But looking back, now I know that even if I thought they messed up, it doesn't mean that they necessarily actually messed up. That was my perception, right? And that I don't have to drag them down and make them feel how I feel in order for me to move forward. Instead, I have learned to shift my focus to what it is that I need in the future and what I want to convey to that person to improve things, whether it's understanding, to be heard, for us to change the way we interact with each other and set boundaries instead of feeling like, well, I'm going to bring them down with me because they deserve it. That is prioritizing pride over the relationship. And even if the issue is with someone, I'm going to veer off marriage for a little bit. Even if this issue is with someone you don't care to have a relationship with anymore, and you're like, I don't care, I'm ready to burn it down. Will you be happy with yourself afterwards? Will you be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm happy with how I behaved. This is exactly who I want to be. And then tying it back to marriage, is this the type of wife I want to be? When my husband messes up, is this what I want him to anticipate? If you are constantly going to that place when your husband's upset, if you are constantly going to that place when your husband is making a mistake, he probably won't tell you that he's making mistakes anymore. Think about when you were a child, right? How did your parents react when you made a mistake? When you messed up? Were they open with you and just told you, okay, like, this is what needs to happen going forward. This is why this was not a good choice. And, everything's fine. Or did you get yelled at? Did you get things taken away? Were there unfair consequences going on? Were they mean to you? Think about the dynamic you want to set up with your husband. And are your actions aligning to that? Are you processing your anger in a healthy way? Are you expressing it in a respectful way? And again, back to how we can't be 100% on all the time, right? Like sometimes we're going to mess up and we're going to be angry and we're going to let it show, right? But for the most part, we want to make sure that we aim for respect and kindness. We want to aim for leaving the conversation feeling like we made progress towards a better outcome rather than making it worse and just like throwing a match into it, right? It's like a room full of gas, and you're like, let me light this match and throw it in there so it can blow up in flames. Is that what you want to do? I mean, in the moment, it might feel like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. But will your future self be thankful for that? Or will they be like, damn it, why'd you do that? Okay? Because it's just going to create a mess that you got to clean up anyway. So, anyway, that's what I got for you today. This is something that once I realized, it was like 1,000 light bulbs went off. I'm like, damn, I need to do a lot of work on this. And this spans in every relationship. Your marriage, the one with your kids, the one with your family members, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. Can you work on being more gracious? And instead of letting your unprocessed emotions just spill all over them? Can you conduct yourself with grace and respect and kindness and transparency and care about how they feel, how they think, how they're going to perceive the message to the best of your ability? Because that is going to make such a big difference. That's going to create trust. That's going to create emotional intimacy. And that's going to improve the relationship in the long run. Okay, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I would love to hear how this lands for you, what your biggest takeaway was, and let me know if you have any topics you want to hear. And of course, if this is something that you want support with, reach out. We can talk about coaching and how it all works. And I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.